Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reading In the Eye of the Storm, Part 2 of Chapter 2. The morning has been juggled trail of unexpected. First, Jesus grieves over the death of a dear friend and relative. Then his life is threatened. Next, he celebrates the triumphant returns of his follower. Then he is nearly suffocated by bronchum of humidity, bewilderment, jeopardy, jubilation, and bedlam. What are you beginning to see? Why I call this the second most stressful day in Jesus' Christ's life. And it's far over. Jesus decided to take the disciple to a quiet place where they can rest and reflect. He shouted a command over the noise of the crowd. Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest. The 13 flight their way to the beach and climbed into a boat. And for a few precious moments the world is quiet again. The din of the crowd grows distant and only sounds in the slap of the water against the hull. Jesus' heart is weighed by sorrow and bowed by joy. He watches his followers swap stories on victory, then he raises his glance as he sees the horizon. Tiburtines, the city of construction by John the Baptist, murder Herod. Joy suddenly annoyed with the ignition caused by his fist to clench and his eyes to moisten. Who would question this desire to get away from the people? He needs just a few hours alone, just a respite, just a retreat, a time to pray, a time to ponder, a time to weep, a time without crowds or demands, a campfire wreath with friends, an evening with those he loves. The people can't wait until tomorrow. The people, however, had other ideals. The crowd learned about it and followed him. It It's a 6-mile walk around the northern eastern corner of the Sea of Galilee. So, the crowd takes a hike. When Jesus got to Bethlehem, his desired retreat had become a roaring arena. Surprise! Added to the list of sorrow, pearl, excitement, and betterment is the word interruption. Jesus planned to interpret what he has in his mind for a day and what his people have in their minds for his day are two different agendas. When Jesus seeks and wants, Jesus gets are not the same. Sound familiar? Remember when you sought a night's rest and got a colicky baby? Remember when you sought to catch up at a office and you got even further behind? Remember when you sought to use your Saturdays for leisure but end up fixing your neighbor's sink? Take comfort, friend. It happens to Jesus too. In fact, this would be a good time to pause and digest the central message of this chapter. Jesus knows how you feel. Ponder this and use it the next time your world goes from calm to chaos. His pulse was raised, his eyes have grown weary, his heart has grown heavy. He has climbed out of his bed with a sore throat. He has been kept awake late and got up early. He knows how you feel. You may have trouble believing that. You probably believe that Jesus knows what it meant to endure heavy duty tragedies. You are no doubt convinced that Jesus is acquainted with the sorrow and the wreath of the fear. Most people accept that. But can Jesus relate to the hassles, headaches of your life? For some reason, the reason is harder to believe. Perhaps that's why Portions of the day are recorded in gospel account. No event other than the crucifixion is told by the four gospel writers. Not baptism, not temptation, not even birth, but all four writers chronicle this day. If it as if Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John knew what you would sorry, that you would wonder if God understood, and they proclaimed their response in the four-part harmony. I'm sorry, gotta take a drink. A friend of mine was recently trying to teach his 6-year-old how to shoot a basketball. The, would, the boy would have taken the basketball and pushed it harder as he could towards the goal, but it felt like short. The father would then take the ball and toss it up towards the basket, saying something like, "Just do it like this, son, it's easy." Then the boy would try and miss again. My friend would take the ball and make another basket, encourage his son to push the ball a bit harder. After several minutes and many misses, the boy responded to his father's encouragement by saying, "Yeah, but it's easy for you up there. You don't know how hard it is from down here." You and I can never say that about God. Of the many messages Jesus told us that day about stress, the first one is God knows how you feel. Read how J.B. Phillips translated Hebrew 4:15. For we have no superhuman high priest who our weakness and unintelligible. He himself has shared fully in all the experience of temptation, except that he never sinned. The writers of the Hebrew in adamantine almost to the point of reluctance. It's as if he anticipates our objects. It's as he knows that we will say to God what a friend's son had to say. God, it's easy for you up there. You don't know how hard it is from down here. So he boldly proclaimed Jesus' ability to understand. Looking at the one wording again, he himself, not an angel, not an ambassador, not in a mission, but Jesus himself, shared fully, not particularly, not nearly, not to a large degree, entirely. Jesus shared fully. And all experienced every hurt, every ache, all the stress and all the strain, no exceptions, no substitute. Why? He could sympathize with our weakness. A politician donned the hard hat and entered the factory like he was one of the employees. A social worker goes to the inner city and spends the night on the streets with homeless. A general walks into a mess hall and sits down with the soldiers like he is one of the enlisted men. All three want to communicate the same message. I identify with you. I can understand. I can relate. There is a problem, though. The factory employees know that the politician's hard hat will come off when the television crew is gone. The Durics know that the social worker will be in a warm bed tomorrow night. The soldiers are well aware for every meal the general eats in the mess hall, he's eaten dozens in his office quarters. Try as they might, these well-meaning professionals don't really understand. They participate in impartial. Jesus' participate, however, was complete. The writer of the Hebrews stated, without clarity, that Jesus shared fully in all his experience. A bookstore owner in the Northwest once told me about an angry lady who stomped into his store carrying my book, God Came Near. She slammed the book on the counter, said as a few less than kind things about the book. Um, I lost my place. About the book. She slammed the book on the counter and said a lie, less than a few things about the book, and then screamed loudly enough for everyone on the block to hear. My God didn't have pimples. I know the paragraph that puts the sparkle in her tinder box. I'll read it like this. Jesus may have had pimples. He may have been tone deaf. Perhaps a girl down the street had a crush on him, or worse, it could be that his knees were bony. One thing for sure, he was, while completing drive, completely human. I understand why the woman became upset. I can relate to the discomfort. He we quickly fix a crack in the stained glass. We rub away any snugs to the altar. There is something safe about God who will never have calluses. There are some things awesome about a God who never felt pain. There is something magical about the God who never scraped his elbow. But there is also something about something cold about the God who cannot relate to what you and I feel. If I had a moment with the lady, I would ask her, Jesus may not have pimples, but don't you hope that he could have? Every page of the gospel hammers home this cruelty principle. God knows how you feel, from the funeral to the factory to the frustration of demanding schedules. Jesus understands when he tells you that you have reached your limit. He knows what you mean. When you shake your head at possible deadlines, he shakes his too. When your plan interrupts by people who have other plans, he nods in sympathy. He has been there. He knows how you feel. Before you resume our chronicle stress of the day in Jesus' life, let me take you to another day, one far recent in the place closer to home. That will be our next reading. It's chapter 3 of chapter 2. Well, it's a reading of chapter. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get these out. But I had to do it when my house is quiet, and I just called a morning that it's quiet. So you all have a blessed day, and remember, God loves you. He could love you more than anybody in this world. And I hope you have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.